Hey, welcome back to Excel for Educators Roll Your Own Gradebook series. This is the advanced screencast introducing the nested if statement, which will allow you to combine multiple worksheets into one reporting tool. So this is great if you have several classes or several subject areas that you're trying to put together into one dashboard report. As a reminder, you can always download the beginning workbook that I'm going to show you here in a minute. I'll also have a link at the end of this broadcast and also at the information below the YouTube video in order for you to download the link for the completed version of this gradebook. Alright, so let's get started. This gradebook has 4 different classes, as you can see along the bottom. So we had biology in the first series, biology and chemistry in the intermediate series, and now we've got biology, chemistry, physics, and earth science. We have the same reporting tool that we've had before, and our formulas page that we introduced in the intermediate series. I've also updated all of the named ranges here and the data validation lists in the report, so you won't have to do that. Alright, so since we're trying to integrate 4 classes, our regular if statement that we learned last time won't work. Last time we just had 2 classes that really fit perfectly with the if statement. We gave Excel something to evaluate if it was true, which was biology, or false if it was chemistry. But now we have to do things, we have to try and make 4 classes fit into that if statement, which means we have to fool Excel with kind of a dream within a dream approach to get it to the if. So here's what it's going to look like. It's going to look a lot like last time, except we're going to add a couple of ifs in the middle, and so that's what the nested part of the nested if refers to. So it's a formula. We always start out with equals, if. Okay, and we're going to start down here in the standard box, even though we're going to need it for the first name box above, only because this one's a little simpler to construct, so this will get your feet wet. Alright, so if this cell equals P1 biology, then we want Excel to put this standard in that cell. Okay. Now, last time we said if it didn't, then we would go ahead and click on the chemistry standard, but this time that won't work because we have both physics and earth science standards as well. So instead, we're going to tell Excel to use another if statement if the value is false. So here's our first little nested if. Okay, so if C4 equals P2 chemistry, then I want it to use this standard. But if not, I need it to use another if statement. So if C4 equals P3 physics, this one. But if false, it can be this one. We don't have to tell it P4 earth science standards. Alright, we're going to close our parentheses. We're going to hit enter, and there we go. Alright, so we can do a little quick test here to see what happens. Chemistry changes, we've got our physics. Alright, so looking good. Now you can use your fill tool to just copy this formula down to the other standards, but go up here and lock those references first. So F4 will mean that no matter where you drag this formula, this first part will always refer to this cell down here. Alright, so let's do the same up here for this C4 and this C4. We'll hit enter. Alright, so let's look at all of this. I'm going to go back here, look for the little crosshairs, pull down. Alright, it's all ready. Alright, so now that we've done kind of the easy ones, let's go back up here and try that nested if with our index and match statements. Okay, now this is going to look really long and ugly, but once you get the hang of it, it's kind of like lather, rinse, repeat. You really can kind of get into it. Alright, so if C4 equals P1 biology, this is starting to look familiar, right? We're going to index the names because we have a last name here and we want to match this last name with another list so we know what first name to put in. Alright, so we're going to index. What are we going to index? We're going to index this list of first names. And we want to match it with what we see in cell C6 of the report with our P1 biology list that we created as our named range has to be an exact match. All right, close those two sets of parentheses. We don't close the third one because our if statement is still trucking on here. All right, if C4 equals, what was our next class? Chemistry. We're going to index. Now we need to index the chemistry names. We're going to match those with what's in cell C6, our P2 chemistry list. Needs to be an exact match. Close those two parentheses. All right, our last little if statement here. So if C4 equals P3 physics, index, let's go grab our names. So our first names needs to match cell C6 with P3 physics. Exact match. Oops. Close those parentheses. Now keep in mind we're in the middle of an if statement here, so we don't have to do another if just for earth science. We can just put in the index match as the negative condition here. So index this list and match it with C6, our P4 earth science list of last names, an exact match. And then we need to close a bunch of parentheses here. If you lose track, watch the color of the parentheses because Excel is trying to tell you which set you're looking at there. When you get to the one at the very beginning where it says equals at the very beginning of the statement, when that one turns black, you know you've hit all of them. Hit enter. All right, there's our first name. Okay, so now all of these should be able to match. Now, that's the bad news, is that you have a really long formula. The good news is that you can copy this formula into all of the current score cells. You can also copy it into your formula cells and use it again, and you only have to change the column name. So instead of these B's, depending on the column of the assessment or the score you want, that's the only letter that you have to change in the whole thing, going all the way down. Alright, so in a minute I'll put up the link for the finished version of the gradebook, but you can see here that once you have those formulas in place, you can do your dynamic charts and graphs, and all four class periods or subject areas will be in one space, so that you can use those drop-down menus and get the information that you're looking for there. Here's the link to that finished version of the gradebook for you. And you can also look at the blog post that's related to this particular tutorial if you need more information on some of the formulas, especially for the dynamic charts and graphs. And even though this is the end of our gradebook series, we will be looking at some different kinds of modifications based on user suggestions. So check back now and then and we'll have more tutorials for you, or leave a comment and some suggestions of your own. Thanks for watching.